Y'all know what time it is. Black bandana. Two black MMA journalists. Yeah, it's time for Black Market Picks Premium edition for UFC Rio Rancho. Blachowicz versus Anderson. We are here and we are ready to do Black Market Picks tonight. And we're here to give you the full breakdown. Of course, the free breakdown is over on the Daily Fantasy MMA channel. Boot. We're gonna give you the full tilt here and give you all of our in-depth expert analysis because you're our premium subscribers. Let's go ahead and get right into it. First fight of the night is going to be Martin De La Rosa versus Rolian Paiva. And De La Rosa is going to be coming in this fight at $7,400. Paiva is going to be coming in this fight at $8,800. I have liked what I've seen from Paiva in losses thus well, at least in his first loss versus Kai Kara France. But you have to be careful about rating people according to their performance in losses. So Paiva is actually 0-2 in the UFC with one split decision on the Contender Series. Mark De La Rosa, his opponent, he hasn't fared well. At least he has a couple. Well, he's got one UFC, two UFC wins. Well, he's 2-3 in the UFC. He lost to Kai Kara France as well. Alex Perez lost. Win versus Joby Sanchez, not so bad. Win versus Elias Garcia, and loss versus Tim Elliott.
Joby Sanchez and Elias Garcia.
Yeah, yeah.
Terrible. Both terrible. What are you talking about?
But I mean, what is Raleigh Piper? What's so good about him? I don't see why this fight is priced. This pricing
It's about the
disparity
spot.
isn't the way it is because, well, I guess it's because the fact that the Vegas odds, I guess that's where it got placed. But this is a pretty evenly paced fight. I don't think you would like just jam Paiva in. Why can't Mark De La Rosa win this fight? They're both lighter weight fighters. This fight is being contested at 125 pounds. So I don't necessarily see why you wouldn't favor Mark De La Rosa over Paiva. Maybe the technical ability of Paiva, but like how good is he really to the point to where we want to ignore De La Rosa? I'm just saying I would get exposure to both sides. Paiva is an interesting play. He could possibly finish this fight. He's a skilled fighter. He's got some great boxing. I like what I've seen from that. But I'm not necessarily heavy on either side. I'd say get exposure to each side. More De La Rosa because he's much cheaper. But Define Prodigy, what do you say?
My turn?
Yeah.
All right, got you. Dealing with my son. You know how I feel. Paiva to me is great. I like him. I think he has a lot of potential. I think you can't really take too much from his fights recently. His two loss win streak. He's better than his losses show pretty much. But I think in this sense, when it comes to DraftKings, it's all about the spot that you're in. And in this spot, you have Mark De La Rosa, who to me isn't UFC caliber, and you have Paiva, who is better than his two losses show. His two losses are to Kai Car France and Bon Torin. Both are considered prospects in the UFC right now. Whereas where freaking Mark De La Rosa was only beating Elias Garcia and Joby Sanchez. Terrible, terrible names who are probably cut from the UFC right now. And his losses have all been to people that are actually decent. So you have, in my mind, Paiva, who's actually decent, versus somebody who's not UFC caliber. I mean, it's just like I said, it's just all about the spot. And I think in this spot, 8,800, I think Paiva's in a great position here. I think he'll win this fight on the feet. He can win this fight on the ground. Maybe the ground might be a bit tougher since Mark De La Rosa does have some decent jujitsu credentials. I think he's like a brown belt or something like that. So he can work that out. But other than that, I see it going as Paiva catches him with something on the feet, a hook or something like that, knocks De La Rosa down, knockdown, 10 points there, and then finishes it on the ground with like a choke or a red naked choke or a darce or something like that. But I don't think that Paiva and De La Rosa are in the same league here. And I think for 8,800, when you have so many people, above Paiva, so many people below Paiva, like I said, this mid range, it looks like a mid range week. That mid range is looking like it's looking real juicy. But especially with Corey Anderson only 8,900, I expect that people probably will think he's maybe 93, 92, 91. But 8,900 seems like a discount for what he can do. But I don't think anybody will be playing Paiva. And I think Paiva gets a finish. He could be a sneaky, low owned, I'm talking less than 8% owned play.
Yeah, he won't be very highly owned. Now, I don't know if it's less than 8%, but because of what's around him, you got Corey Anderson, Tim Means, Pereira, Brock Weaver. His ownership might dip down there. I would think it'd be. He does have two losses. I don't think MMA Twitter will be too high on him. I think it'll be somewhere between 10 and
Exactly. People that look
15%.
at that, the casuals will look at two losses and be like, hell no, not this guy. Why is he this price? Come on now.
True. So Pivot, like I said, good play, but I think De La Rosa is viable as well as $7,400 in that level of a fight. I mean, I'm just not too sold on either fighter. Let's go into our next fight. We got Macy Chiasson versus Shanna Young. Shanna Young is a late notice replacement. This was supposed to be Nico Montano here fighting at 135 pounds. She dropped out of the fight. Oh man, Shanna Young, I was excited about her when I first heard about her. She was a wrestler. And we know Macy Chiasson was really wrestled out good by Alina Landsberg in the last fight. So that being said, I was like, cool, wrestler. She's gonna be going for takedowns. This is a really live dog. And then I watch her film, and she's just not that effective at really taking a fight down. Spends a lot of times in the clinch. Very effective in scrambles and gaining position, but not an explosive takedown artist. And I think in order to beat Macy Chiasson, you need to be able to be well rounded, but you really need to get that takedown and keep it there. Sarah Moras was able to do that for the first round, could not sustain it, and the sustainability of Young's takedown game is just not there to me. It's just not. And that's why I like Chiasson to probably finish this fight, if not in the first, in the second. She'll be too much for Young. She's too athletic. I think her striking is better, and her submission game will be too much as well. So, if Shanna Young, maybe she wrestled better. I don't know. Maybe she'll come out here and put on the best wrestling show of her life. She does have a college wrestling background, but I was not impressed with her. Ashley Evans Smith, that's one person that college wrestling background. She really's got a decent wrestling game. I was not impressed with Shanna Young's combination of wrestling and karate. So Macy Chiasson is the only person I'm really considering here. She's a little expensive. I don't think she's necessary. And I don't know if she'll be the most popular with her average level fantasy points per fight. But yeah, $9,400 is a lot to ask, but she could meet value here. She doesn't get takedowns, so it'll be hard. At $9,400, I want more than 110 points. And on a fight with such a strong mid-range, I'm not necessarily trying to go up to Macy Chiasson. Not trying to. I don't think you need to. But yeah, I think that mid-range is the key. Getting that right. Chiasson is a little expensive here. And I think she might be priced out for this card because we got some really strong grappling matchups in the middle that we need to get right. So Chiasson is consideration. Shanna Young is not on my playlist. Travaz Clark, how are you playing this fight?
I'm not playing Macy Chiasson. That's pretty much all that is. She is too expensive. In this fight, you talk about Shayna Young, who pretty much is coming in here supposedly supposed to have no chance, of course. Minus 700, I think Macy Chiasson is crazy, ridiculous. Especially when we've seen a non-wrestler in Lena Landsberg out wrestle the hell out of Macy Chiasson. You know what Macy Chiasson reminds me of? Curtis Melinder. Okay, Curtis Melinder on the back. I think once she hits the, you can argue it, but I think when she hits the ground, she's pretty much a damn fish, honestly. She will sit the rest of that round on her back. And I think, though you say Shayna Young's wrestling isn't as credentialed or as you'd like it to be, it
As
doesn't need to be.
effective.
It doesn't need to be for Macy Chase on. She just has to time a well timed single leg or something like that, and it's over for Chase on for that round. But even if Chase on wins, I think this is a fight where Shayna comes out. She let's say it makes it competitive, or if it's not competitive, she'll get a single leg. At that point, you at 9.4K, you need that first round finish. You need that first round finish. Um, if it goes into the second round, that's when we start worrying. That's when we worry. Okay, at this point, Macy Chason, she doesn't have enough. She won't have enough. She won't do enough to score you that 110 points. Um, and that's what I worry about. Now, let's say Macy Chason is supposed to win. I still would pick a Macy Chason to win because, I mean, she's the better overall fighter. But at the same time, that doesn't always equate to a win in mixed martial arts. Oh my God, you just threw up on me, brother. I'm sorry. Okay, okay. That doesn't equate always to a win in mixed martial arts. Um, wow, you just threw up on me. Anyway, but either way, Macy, then you're gonna scream. Macy Chason, she should win the fight, but all I'm saying is you can't trust her. I'm not playing her at 9.4K. If you do it, more power to you, but don't be surprised when she doesn't outscore her price. And when she doesn't outscore her price, and we're saying this is a mid-range fight, you're taking a big risk by going all the way up to 9.4. Or if everyone's thinking the same thing with the mid-range, you could be doing yourself a favor and doing being contrarian, going up to the highest price fighter on the card. But you can't trust Mason Chase. We've seen this position too many times. I don't know why anyone is paying 9.4K when she's facing, in theory, a wrestler, and we've seen her off her back take off rounds. So, like I said, Mason Chase should win, but you can't trust it. And I don't think she pays off the price.
Yeah, I should like Young here, but I just was not impressed with I. She got a strong wrestling background. Like she wrestled. Where is this? I can't get the. Um, I can't get the name here. King. She wrestled King Tornado Women's Wrestling Program. So I don't know where this was based out of, but they were the King Tornadoes. King College wrestler. Okay, she wrestled at King College. So yeah, I think she can win if she were to get her wrestling going. But I just have not seen her be very effective with that on film. And I think she is on East her alive. But like you said, yeah, if she could get takedowns, I would love her here. But I just didn't see what I would like to from such a strongly credentialed wrestler on film. But I guess she's live, but I just don't believe that what she presented on film will be very effective as she is on. Let's go into our next fight: Mira Philly versus Casey Kinney. Um, Philly is coming in at $8,400. Casey Kinney coming in at $7,800. And I'm picking Casey Kinney to win this fight. I believe he's the more effective striker. I believe he's the more. Uh, I don't know if he's the better wrestler. I would say. I just believe he's better and they're better scrambler. Philly, I have been very impressed by his pace and his output, but not about the substance of his results. I mean, his win over Brackettona was pretty solid, but loss versus Ricky Simone. Um, I guess that wasn't really a loss. It's kind of controversial. Loss versus Frankie Science. Definitely loss versus Frankie Science. Philly is absolutely fantasy gold though, and I I believe that this fight can. I believe the winner of this fight is going to score at least 90 points of floor. And I believe the loser can score healthy as well. And you might be able to stack this fight and take down a GPP. That's how rich this fight is. Like, you can't go wrong with it. Even if your guy loses, he's not going to crush your entry. So, Casey Kinney is my pick to win, but I'm playing this completely even because this fight should be on a winning lineup. Got to get Kinney versus Merab Philly. It's absolutely a key on the weekend. Don't be sorry, guys. Just get one of these. Go get both these guys in your multi-entry strategy. If you're only playing one lineup, I go with Kenny. But yeah, Travaz Clark, how are you playing this fight? What kind of exposure do you have?
Uh,
What do you think of it?
this is a great fight. I'm gonna lean Casey Kenny. I know you mentioned the part with stacking this fight. I think if you want to get crazy, just like that Frank Camacho and I forget who he's fighting, the Australian guy fight when they combine for in the 3 round affair for hella points. But Damian Brown, yeah. But just in this fight, I think honestly, you look at Merab Davishvili's box scores, even in losses to both Ricky Simone and Frankie Saenz, he put up 70.5 to Frankie and 78.5 to Ricky Simone. That is a crazy floor. That is a crazy floor. You really can't beat it. And we know that his ceiling, should he do well, let's say he gets 11 takedowns, 6, 7 passes and stuff like that, is crazy high. So in this fight, it's a great fight. So you have Casey Kenny, and I lean Casey Kenny more so for the lack of top control that Merab has. If you ask me, Merab should be 4-0. He should be 4-0. I think he definitely beat Frankie Saenz. He wasn't out against Ricky Simone, but that's debatable, of course. He would have won that fight had he not gone quote unquote out. And then of course he won his last 2 fights, and he's been looking really really good. He trains out there with them boys, Aljamain Sterling and them. But in this fight, I think that Casey Kenny, of course, is very underrated. He's the underdog yet again. He is a judo champion in his own right. He has good striking. He was a double champ in his former promotion. He has great scrambling ability, and I think that's going to play the factor here. I think the lack of top control that Merab has been known to have, though he showed great top control against Brad Katona, but the lack of top control that we've known him to have otherwise could prove to be his downfall against such a beautiful scrambler like Casey Kenny. Casey Kenny has scrambled with Ray Borg. He's scrambled with Manny Bermudez. And I know I think I was hearing last fight about Casey Kenny was that he got tired, from grappling with these bigger guys. Well, when you look at Manny Bermudez, he didn't get tired against Ray Borg. When you look at Manny Bermudez, Bermudez has missed weight quite a few times. Like he just missed apparently a 155 contest. So Manny Bermudez is a big guy. Merab Davishvili, I think Casey Kenny is taller and has a little bit of a reach advantage as well. I could be wrong, but the point of that being is that they are both near the same size. Davashvili is not nearly as big a guy as Manny Bermudez here, so I don't think the cardio will be an issue at all in this fight. So you have two guys. Casey Kenny is not going to back down. We know Merab Davashvili can push a pace. He doesn't get tired at all. His cardio is damn near limitless. This fight will be a crazy fight, but I look at the scrambling ability of Casey Kenny as the reason he will emerge victorious. So say he gets taken down, ends up in a scramble, ends up on the back of Merab Davashvili. Now, who cares if Merab Davashvili doesn't go out from the choke, or if he does go out from an attempted rear naked choke? But in the fight, in the judges' eyes, that scramble or Casey Kenny coming out on top of that scramble, he's winning the fight or he's winning the round. And that's all we really care about, especially when you're looking at these underdogs for DraftKings when you're trying to get those higher type fighters. I mean, Casey Kenny 7.8K, but I think he's in a great spot to win here. And and once again as the underdog, I think he pulls through. But like Laura said, you stack this fight, this could be something that takes you. Now I wouldn't do it more than once. I would just stack it one time, just for like a Hail Mary YOLO, you only live once type lineup. But this fight is DraftKings gold, honestly, in my eyes. I don't see it going any other way other than this lineup ultimately being on the optimal lineup, like Laura said. But give me Casey Kenny. I think on the feet, they're both should be evenly matched in the striking. But give me Casey Kenny to win this fight here. Yet again, he's being disrespected as the underdog.
Alrighty, I think we're in agreement that this is just a key fight to be rostering this weekend. Next fight up, we've got Devin Clark versus Duquan Townsend. $9,300 for Devin Clark. Townsend's going to come in at $6,900. Have not been very impressed with Townsend up to this point. 6,900. He's 6,900 and 2 losses in the UFC. One to Dolce Lungiambula, the other to Bivon Lewis. He just fought like 2 weeks ago, which is super weird. Like on January 25th, and he's right back in here against Devin Clark. Um, I am going with Devin Clark all the way. I just don't think Clark is going to meet that $9,300 price tag. Maybe in cash, Devin Clark is a great option, but for GPPs, I'm not too intrigued just because of this price. A little too rich for my blood because, I'm thinking we need more than 110 points for him to be able to pay off and end up on a winning lineup on this card. So, yeah, I've got Clark to win. I'm not playing Townsend. So, but I'm not really thinking about playing Clark at $9,300. Either Travaz Clark. What do you think about this fight in Clark and Townsend?
Um, I don't. I think this fight it pretty much is what it is. Now Devin Clark, we've seen him have chin issues in the past, but he seems to have gotten over that. I think his last fight he got cracked a bunch, but he never faltered. He never went down. He just kept pushing on. I believe that was against Stozic. But you have this fight against Townsend, who just fought, like you said, 2 weeks ago, pretty much, or what, the 25th of January against Bavon Lewis, and this fight is a sneaky one too. I think, because Devin Clark is a wrestler. He is a wrestler, um, and we love wrestling when it comes to DraftKings. Now, 9,300. I don't know if you could ever trust Devin Clark at 9,300. I don't know if Devin Clark should ever be 9,300, but I get why he is. He should win this fight, and he should do it with his wrestling. His striking is pretty rudimentary. It's pretty clunky. Never been anything to write home about. But I think Townsend's only chance here is to catch that chin. But Devin Clark knows his strengths here. He knows that he wants to wrestle. He knows that that his wrestling is superior to Townsend. So the way I look at it, and this is why I think it's sneaky, if Devin Clark when Devin Clark takes Townsend to the ground, it could be a ground and pound type thing that eventually leads to a TKO stoppage. Or if not, you know, like we say wrestling in DraftKings, we say it pretty much every week. That's the best way to rack up points. So if there's a bunch of passing, which I don't think there'll be a bunch of passing in this fight, maybe a pass or two on the ground from Clark from half guard to side control or maybe full mount. But I think this fight, it could prove only on the Devin Clark side. It could prove to be a little sneaky because no one wants to play Devin Clark at 9.3. Hell, I don't even want to play him at 9.3. But his path to victory, which he will utilize, has generally been great for DraftKings scoring. And his opponent isn't anything to write home about. So Devin Clark, in theory, should be able to do whatever he wants to do. We're only worried about the chin aspect, but he's shown that he can protect his chin if need be and execute his game plan at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, Devin Clark always makes me, um, rostering him always makes me nervous because I feel like he could be knocked out. He's chinny. Well, is he chinny? I mean, he got knocked out by Rakish, Superman's. Well, no, he got subbed by Span. Um, I mean, like, I don't know, man. Devin Clark he is who he is, I guess. But I'm never too excited about rostering him at a super high price tag. He's just not a super high price tag guy. He's like a discount under type dog type guy. I'll take him at like 7,500 things like that. But 9,300, that ain't no Devin Clark price, man. He ain't no Gucci fighter, man. He's more like New Balance. You know what I'm saying?
New Balance.
Yeah, he's a New Balance guy. I can't do that much for New Balance. That's too much. That's Gucci, Louis, Fendi, Prada. Devin Clark's New Balance. But let's go into our next fight. We got Scott Holtzman versus Jim Miller. Scott Holtzman is $8,200. Jim Miller is $8,000. And you know LeRoiStephon's rule. If it's priced even, you should just play it even. And with Scott Holtzman versus Jim Miller, I'm picking Scott Holtzman because I believe he can keep this standing and beat Jim Miller. But shit, Jim Miller can box too. So I really don't know how to forecast this fight. Um, I believe Holtzman is a better athlete. I believe he stifled better grapplers in Alan Patrick. So I like Scott Holtzman, but it's priced nearly even. And it would be stupid to have Scott Holtzman in the near perfect lineup and not to hedge it with Jim Miller, just $8,000 below him. So when you like the favorite in a fight placed priced almost even or completely even, just play both sides of it and be safe. I think this fight should score well. I mean, Miller's gonna come go get it, and Holtzman is gonna have to hold him off and spark him out or dominate him or lose. I think because Miller's probably the better grappler. And as far as the striking goes, I think Holtzman's the better striker, but Miller can get the best of that if he's gonna have to mix his grappling in. So I think the winner of this scores well. At least Miller does. He definitely scores well. Holtzman not so much, but Miller would probably win with grappling. So I guess he'd be the preferred play because of that. From a standpoint of like game theory, who scores more, who's gonna definitely be on the win lineup. I think if Jim Miller wins, he'll have a great chance to be in the winning lineup because he's gonna probably dominate this thing on the ground. Travaz Clark, what are you thinking about this fight and your exposure to it?
I think this is all these fights in here are great. I think this fight in particular is a good fight because you have certain strengths and traits that one fighter has over the other. Like Scott Horseman has the athleticism. You would think he has the strength as well, whereas Jim Miller has that veteran savvy. He has the well timed takedowns that he can utilize. He has the submission skills. He seems pretty reinvigorated since coming back from Lyme disease. I know the last time he fought as well, his kids were watching. That was like their first time seeing him or something like that. Um, his Jason Gonzalez. And when you look at Scott Holtzman's record, though, especially in UFC, I'm me personally, I'm not too impressed with it. He beat Dung Young Ma, who probably Lara could beat. He beat Christodoulou, who I know Lara could beat. Um, he's beaten Cody Fister, like Sun Tzu could beat Cody Fister. You just look at these wins, Daryl Horcher, McBride. They're not the best wins. They're pretty much just Scott Holtzman having his athletic advantages over these opponents, and pretty much just being the better athlete, the better fighter. I don't even know if Dung Young Ma is still in the UFC or if these guys like Horcher, McBride, Fister. We know Fister's not there. We know Christodoulou's not there. But the people that's actually been decent, Nick Lentz, he lost. Josh Emmett, who's on the tear right now, lost. Drew Dober lost. Jim Miller hasn't really lost to a non-top 15 guy in a while, and Scott Holtzman is exactly that. So I believe that when this fight starts, Jim Miller will be looking for a well-timed takedown, and when he does get that takedown, it should just be a submission, rinse and repeat. I understand why Jim Miller is the underdog, but at the same time, I feel like Jim Miller should be the outright favorite. So there's value there if you're a betting man as well. But I think Jim Miller should win this fight and win it honestly pretty easily. We've seen Scott Holtzman taken down before. Now he has decent takedown defense. I believe it's like 67%, something like that in that ballpark area. But at the same time, 67% still leaves that 33% chance of getting taken down. And someone like Jim Miller, who's seen every type of fighter there is to see, he should be able to accomplish that task and lock up a rear naked choke or submission on Scott Holtzman. So I do like this fight. I like Jim Miller to get it done and get it done handily and score big. I
I
think he
mean,
makes the optimal lineup, actually. So
yeah, but Jim Miller will be a lot more popular, and Scott Holtzman will be a better lower owned play from a standpoint of building a
I
lineup.
think Scott Holtzman wins by decision. I don't think he finishes Jim Miller. He will win by decision.
True, but I think you have leverage on the field with Holtzman too. So that's why I like
Definitely.
him. I like him as a play too because he's sneaky. Everybody's gonna be on Jim Miller when they see his name, especially against nobody like Scott Holtzman.
Well, who was Scott Holtzman beat?
It's a great point. That is an awesome point. Let's go into our next fight. We've got the magician John Dodson versus Nathaniel Wood, and Hello?
What happened?
Oh, my bad. My headphones came out real quick. But we've got the magician John Dodson versus Nathaniel Wood. And as I was saying before, I've got uh, I've got John Dodson. I like him a lot in this fight because I don't think he gets finished. I don't think Wood can consistently get into the ground. John Dodson does get out of work sometimes. That's a bad thing about him. But by who? Peter Yan, Jimmy El Terra Rivera. These are top five fighters. Marlon Moraes? That was a split decision loss. I mean, that was debatable. Um, that's one of the best fighters in the world. John Lineker. I don't know if he lost that fight. That was very close. Like these are all debatable losses against some of the top guys in the world. Nathaniel Wood is he's good on the ground, but he's relatively unproven. And when we saw him against a relatively decent striker in Johnny Eduardo, he was absolutely thrashed on the feet. Managed to get a takedown and get a submission. Or did he clip Eduardo and then get the submission? But yeah, man, I'm not impressed by Wood so much. I like his grappling, but Andre Ewell, who couldn't out grapple Andre Ewell? Um, who couldn't? Who couldn't? Well, Quinones is good, not great. He outdid him there. Nathaniel Wood he's got a bright future, but I think this is a little too much too soon. Um, and for $8,600, I don't believe he's gonna meet that price. I don't think he's gonna score as much as any of those guys up there or their opponents. So I need big scores in this price range. Nathaniel Wood's not gonna provide me with that. John Dodson is relevant because although he might not score the most at $7,600, depending on how the dogs do on this card, he could be a very relevant and necessary play. So I like John Dodson a lot. I do not like Nathaniel Wood. I will not have lots of Nathaniel Wood. That's just my personal preference. Travaz Clark, what do you feel about this fight?
Uh, I think this fight isn't playable for GPP, but I think it's a great cash game spot for Nathaniel Wood. I think Nathaniel Wood is a safe play. I think it's more so about the decline of John Dodson. I love John Dodson. I loved him back when he was on the Ultimate Fighter. I loved him when he was facing Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson. But he's no longer that fighter. He still has a little bit of quickness, but this isn't 125. This is 135. I think Nathaniel Wood pressures him here, and I don't think I don't think John Dotson's going to do well with that pressure. I think the only weapon John Dotson has now is pretty much an overhand. And like I said, in this division, it may not come as fast as it would in the 125 pound division. And I just don't like I just don't like how John Dotson backs up now. Like he's able to be backed up constantly in fights, at least lately. And it just seemed like he's more so on the defensive and he's just waiting to counter strike. And while he's waiting to counter strike, Nathaniel Wood is going to be pressing forward, throwing punches, and using that. He works with Brad Pickett, right?
Yeah, he works with Brad Pitt.
Use, yeah, using that Brad Pickett head movement, and type of technique to just, I think, fluster and overwhelm John Dodson. I don't think there's a finish, of course, because John Dodson is still tough as nails, and I don't think there's going to be any takedowns because John Dodson, for all of what we're talking about, is very hard to take down. But I think this fight plays out on the feet, but I just think it plays out with Nathaniel Wood, who isn't really a pressure fighter, but pressuring John Dodson, at least in this contest. And John Dodson just waiting for that one big strike to happen, which he won't find a home for, and just losing a decision. I like Nathaniel Wood as just a cash game play, just a safe play. But I don't think this fight will have any relevance at all unless John Dodson gets a overhand right knockout with him being an underdog. Then that'll have an impact on the standings or the optimal lineup. But other than that, this fight is a stay away, at least on my list.
Yeah, I guess we're on opposite sides of it. I think Dodson could lose with inactivity, but Nathaniel Wood isn't that great of a striker. I mean, he outworks people, and he's got good training and good base with Brad Pickett and them. But I just think this is a fight he should lose. Like when I look at this, John Dodson, in my mind, is several levels technically above him. Unless he just doesn't go out there and do shit, then he shouldn't lose. In my mind. when I look at that fight. On to our next fight, we got the Dirty Bird, Tim Means versus Daniel Rodriguez. Tim Means at $9,100, Daniel Rodriguez at $7,100. Tim Means should whip Daniel Rodriguez's ass, but the question is, when he's whipping his ass, will he be able to win a decision or finish the fight? That's the question. Because if he doesn't, there's a great chance that Rodriguez could wade through and knock his ass out. Because Tim Means does not have finishing power. He's got all the skill and none of the power to finish. That's what Tim Means is like. He's a great fighter, but man, God did not bless him with punching power. So Tim Means is a great fighter. I like him a lot, but he has a tendency to be able to shit the bed because he, if his opponent can take his strikes. Tim Means doesn't have the biggest chin in the world. Nico Price is an anomaly, but Nico Price sat his ass down, and Tim Means he hadn't been finished necessarily the most, but man, he has taken some L's in his day that I thought he shouldn't take. Even when Oliveira beat him the second time. Yeah, that was interesting. Tim Means, I like him, but man, it takes too much sometimes for him to get the finish, and I just think that's a relevant point here. He's $9,100. He doesn't need the most points. He doesn't need plus 110. I think he needs like plus 100 at this price. He's a little bit more flexible than Chiazon and Clark and them, but I like Tim Means a lot. I just don't know if he'll meet that value. Daniel Rodriguez is a tough brawler. I think he should. I think he should dominate Rodriguez, but I just don't trust Tim Means anymore. I don't know if he's trustable. He's got a history of average 65 points in fantasy points per fight. He cleaned up Ricky Rainey pretty good. Cleaned up Thiago Alves. That was shocking. He looked good in his
Ricky Rainey. Stop it. Thiago washed up Alves. Stop it.
Rodriguez is not better than them guys. So
what? I think anybody's gonna beat Ricky Rainey's ass.
Yeah.
And Thiago Alves, I mean, does he fight anymore? Does he still fight?
He's alright.
This is the new UFC, not the old UFC.
So I think Tim Means is a great play, but proceed with caution because I can just see it happening. Tim Means is one of my top overall plays, GPP wise. But Travaz Clark, what's your breakdown look like?
Just refresh my memory here. Who did we and everyone else of MMA Twitter have as a parlay piece as somebody who's supposed to be beating somebody's ass, but wound up losing and dropping the ball?
Who?
What was that name of last week's card?
That was Alex Morono.
That was fucking Alex Morono. What happened to Alex Morono against a guy named fucking Chaos Williams?
He was completely...
He got knocked the fuck out.
Yeah, he was completely destroyed.
Minus whatever the fuck you want to call it, favor, got knocked the fuck out. Had all the skills, all the advantages in his hometown, all the bullshit. Got knocked the fuck out by Chaos Williams. Who shits the bed more than Alex Morono? Maybe Tim Means. Tim Means, you said it pre-show. He'll do it to you.
He's only shit the bed like Nico Price was. That's it.
Tim Means is not to be trusted. I don't care what.
And he won that Moraes fight too, so he's been looking good. He got robbed.
Sergio Moraes? Is that?
Yeah.
You serious? Sergio Moraes? No striking, Sergio Moraes? No striking, Sergio Moraes?
I know.
Kamaru Usman knocked him out, Sergio Moraes? Come on now, stop it. No striking, Kamaru Usman knocked him out.
Tim Means shit the bed one time, and we just have held it against him.
Tim Means is not to be trusted in this situation. It's just like Alex Morono and the Williams fight last week. Tim Means should win this fight handily. What should Daniel Rodriguez be able to do with him? Not a thing. But the thing is, Daniel Rodriguez is a brawler. He's like 33 years old, about 10-1. Got like 3 fights by submission, 3 fights by knockout. But he's a brawler. He's a banger. You say Tim Means isn't blessed with power; he's like more death by a thousand cuts.
Yes.
So that leaves you open, at least to the power of Daniel Rodriguez. As much as you're cutting him up, if Daniel Rodriguez has that power to put you down, Tim Means will be the one to get put down. 9,100, it seems like a great price. Tim Means seems like he should get this done. I just don't trust him. Other than that, you can take a shot on Rodriguez. If you're making one lineup, don't do it, of course. But if you're making multiple, take a shot on Rodriguez. Honestly, it might come out for you in the end. It might come through for you. But Tim Means should win this fight. He should have every advantage over Daniel Rodriguez, except power. But this is mixed martial arts, so the people who should win don't always win. So Tim Means is the pick, of course. Don't be surprised if he shits the bed.
Let's go on to our next fight. We got Lando Venata versus Yancy Medeiros. I think this is going to be an exciting fight. But Lando Venata, I don't know, man. This dude's got a lot of talent that he doesn't live up to. Both fighters are coming to $8,100. You know LeRoiStephon's rule. If his price is even, just play it even. I think Venata is he's a pretty good fighter, but he just man. I mean, Frivola was given the steamroller. Frivola was outstriking him. So I don't know about Lando Venata these days. I just don't know. He's you never know what Lando you're gonna get. Are you gonna get primetime Lando that almost beats Tony Ferguson on short notice? Like, who are you getting? Lando Venata is super talented. Comes from a good camp. I think he left Jackson Winkle, I know now. He's just out there being a hippie, but yeah, Yancy Medeiros, I figure he's better than Matt Frivola, so I'm picking him to win, but he gets hurt and stuff in fights, and you can't trust either of these guys, but if I had to go with somebody that at least consistently brings it, I guess I'd go with Yancy Medeiros, who before his 2-fight losing streak, he was looking pretty gosh darn good. He lost to Gillespie, no shame in that, and Cerrone. So I won't count that against him. I'm picking Yancy Medeiros, but it's price even, so just play it even. Be safe. Don't be sorry. Don't be sorry. Be safe, hoes. What's the next fight? What's the next I mean, not the next fight, but what's your analysis on this fight? Excuse me.
Bruh, this fight is red flags all over. Red flags all over. I have no idea what to do with this fight, and it's priced even. So your rule, of course, is to play it even, but you can't trust either fighter. You have the chin and durability of Yancy Medeiros, which has gone down dramatically over his past few fights, and then you have Lando Venata, who honestly is living just off the fame of his fight against Tony Rodriguez. Orlando Venata is very overrated, and he has no gas tank. Now, most people will equate that to, let's say, a spinning kick by Orlando Venata, first round knockout of Yancy Medeiros, but we can't count on that. If Venata doesn't get this fight over with in the first round, you're going to be shitting yourself. I don't think you should bet on this fight at all unless you bet that doesn't go to decision. I think maybe it could finish. It's just which fighter wins, and I don't know which fighter wins. Venata, if it gets to the second round, you might see a huffing and puffing. And of course, Yancy Medeiros definitely has the cardio edge, but at any moment can drop like a damn uh, fly. So I have no idea what to do with this card. I have no idea what to do with this fight. Um, my gut pick says Venata, only because when fighters do start out fresh, Nancy Medeiros has always been hittable, defensively vulnerable, and if that first round Venata can just get him out of there with a punch or a kick, more than likely a kick, and he'll pay it off. But you can't trust it. You can't trust it. This fight gets to the second round, all bets are off. All bets are off. So I have no idea what to do, but gut pick says Venata be a first round knockout, but you can't trust it.
Hmm. All right. I don't know who to pick actually, but yeah, I I think it's an intriguing fight. Let's go into our next fight here. We got Ray Borg versus Rogerio Bontorin. Is it Rodrigo or Rogerio? I think it's Rodrigo Bontorin. Rogerio Bontorin. I was right the first time. And Bontorin has won both of his first two fights in the UFC. One versus Bibulatov, and another against Paiva, who's also fighting on this card. So he's thus far been pretty solid. I mean, we can't say too much bad about him. He's got two wins in the UFC. Um, his opponent, Ray Borg, is a former title contender. I like Ray Borg a lot, but he, I thought he won the Casey Kenny fight. Say what you want. I thought he won against Demetrius. No, he lost against Demetrius Johnson, but that's the GOAT before Henry Cejudo beat the GOAT. So I like him. And I like so yeah, I like Ray Borg a lot, man. I think he's very skilled, and um I believe that I believe it's gonna be a close fight, man. I just can't possibly um project like, oh yeah, I'm too heavy on either guy. I think that both fighters are good. I think they both have great takedowns. I think they both got solid striking games. The win over Bibi Latov, I thought that was impressive by Bontorin. I've been I've been impressed. So I think this is an even fight. You just play it even. Because of both guys' ability on the ground, I don't know if it scores the most points. I mean, Bontorin has not been coming up here and tearing the world up. But yeah, what 107 points versus Paiva, 66 for Bibi Latov. I think with how good of a grappler Ray Borg is, I wouldn't see that many points here. But who knows? This could be a scramble heavy fight. Who can say? Um, I project 70, 80 points for it. I'm not the most excited about the upside of this fight, like I am with other fights in this price range. But maybe it's a key fight. Maybe it's not. I'm not sure. Um, I mean, shit. Borg scored 58 against Kenny. I think he should have scored 88. He had seven takedowns,
He
six.
didn't win. He didn't win.
I thought he won, but yeah, I don't know about the upside of points in this fight, so I'm a little hesitant on it because I like a lot of other fights in this price range. But Travaz Clark, what do you think about this fight? And is it a must play, or what do you feel
Um,
about it?
I don't think the fight is a must play. It's definitely a great fight. Yeah, I don't think it's a must play, but in my mind, I'm gonna play it only because I need underdogs that I'm confident in, and Bon Torn is an underdog that I'm confident in. He's on a roll right now. You know, Magomed Biblatov was a high ranked prospect. Still is a very high ranked prospect. Bon Torn took care of him, took care of Paiva. I told you that I'm high on Paiva's ability, at least in ring. And you know, Ray Borg, of course, has been struggling as of late. He lost that fight to Casey Kenny. Um, and you know, I know he had his own personal family issues. Those issues may be a thing of the past. However, I think Ray Borg here, he of course is getting up there and he's getting up there in age, and I think this new wave, I don't think he's ready for it. But this fight, like I said, it will be close because Ray Borg, for all the 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 crap I may give him, is still top 10 pretty much. He's still a high caliber athlete when it comes to UFC. So Bon Thorn's gonna have to earn this one. He's gonna have to earn this one. But I think he definitely the scrambles I think will play out in Bon Thorn's favor. I give Bon Thorn an edge on the feet. Honestly, I think the fight will go to a split decision. You never can know with these judges, especially as of late. But I like Bon Torn to out scramble Ray Borg, and which Ray Borg we know he's a definitely a decent wrestler, great on the ground. But Bon Torn is no slouch anywhere. So this fight is I've seen it back and forth, especially in the MMA Twitter world. My boy UFC Bro Picks has been killing it with his underdog picks. He's picking Bon Torn. I'm picking Bon Torn. I think Ray Borg is still on this steady decline, And like I said, I don't think you need this fight to you don't need this fight, but if you're trying to get 6 winners on DraftKings, and that's what we pretty much look for. I think this is one of the ways to do it. When you look at it and you see that, and at least in my mind, there's a fading Ray Borg and a uprising Bon Torin, who, like I said, has been shown out and thus far proved been admirable and impressive in the UFC. So they're pretty much that what they're pretty much doing with Ray Borg is like it's kind of like Ray Borg's become like a litmus test. He's like testing all these young lions, and so far he hasn't been winning. So Casey Kenny, or we'll see what the Roger Von Toren in this fight. But it's kind of like they're testing Ray Borg, see if he still has. It's like do you still have what it takes to compete at this level? And he doesn't. I mean, he beat Silva last fight, but yeah, yeah, yeah. That's all I can really say about it. Take that however you want it. But I understand why people would pick Ray Borg. I think the fight will be a split decision. So if you think it'll be a split decision, Ray Borg usually does. Usually he puts up decent numbers in his decision victories. I know Formiga wasn't really good, but he usually scores pretty high in a decision victory. So I understand why. But give me Bon Torin here.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know which way to go with it. I'm picking Borg, but it's like a toss up 50-50 fight. Let's go into the next fight. Brock Weaver versus Vargas. I was watching film with Weaver. I wasn't too impressed by his skill set. I watched some of his bare knuckle boxing versus Joe Diesel Riggs. I mean, it's okay. But then I watched film of his opponent and I realized why he was so heavily favored because his opponent is not so good. So I'm not thinking of playing Weaver at that price. He's too rich for my blood. I mean, I guess he's contrarian, but I don't see why he's supposed to finish Vargas and score 105 plus points or 110 plus points, somewhere around there to meet that value. So I'm not into it. Travaz Clark, what do you think of this fight?
Um, all I know is Brock Weaver has all the hype around him, and I feel like Vargas is being a little disrespected here. I think Brock Weaver will go underowned because of who he's around, but Brock Weaver at the same time still should win. I just don't think that Brock Weaver should be this highly priced or this highly favored. Considering we still don't know too much about him. We only know what we've seen on the surface. Those octagon and UFC jitters are real. And Vargas has been here before. He's already took an L against the Silva, but he's been in that octagon. He knows what the feeling is like. So this could be one of them cases where you got Brock Weaver as the hype prospect coming in, and he should show out and do and pretty much stomp all over Kazula Vargas. But at the same time, he underperforms to his potential based on the fact that uh, he might be a little nervous. He may be trying to do too much or anything like that. But I think if you factor that in, you look at his price at 9.3. What is it? 9.3? No, 9.2. I can't pay that much. I cannot do it. Now, like I said, if you can't pay that much, but other people can, that's a great way to go contrarian, just like with Macy Chase on. But I just don't think he pays off the price tag. I think he wins, but he shouldn't be this price. I think Vargas can still win this fight, of course, but I'm gonna go with Brock Weaver and side with the hype and the matchmaking that the UFC likes to do when they have a prospect, a highly touted prospect coming in, making that UFC debut.
All right, I got Weaver over Vargas. Okay, so my next thing is more okay. So yeah, I think we both feel about Brock Weaver. He's definitely entertaining, especially outside the octagon. But I don't know about inside what's supposed to be his elite skill set. But anyway, next fight we got Montella Tana de la Rosa versus Miro Romero Barella. Hmm. I don't know what to think of this fight. I think Barella is a really good grappler, decent striker. De La Rosa is a good grappler. Um, I I guess De La Rosa has the skills advantage, but this is a women's fight. It should go to decision. Anything can happen. I'm not very intrigued by it in this price range with all the other options around it. I don't know if it scores the best. I don't see the upside in it. Not a very sexy fight. Not a very sexy fight to me. I don't get excited thinking of roster need. I guess Barella is the most intriguing play here. Um, but yeah, I guess you play both sides of it if you want. If it comes to that, but I'd rather play Venata Medeiros. I'd rather play um, Holtzman Miller. I'd rather play Travaz Kenny. There's a million fights I'd rather play over this one. And we only got 6 spots. And Corey Anderson is taking up one of my spots. So those are 4 fights I like more. This fight doesn't appeal to me much unless Borella can win the fight. De La Rosa, not so much. Would she even pay off value at $8,700? Divine Prodigy, what do you think of this fight?
Sorry, I don't care about this fight at all. I don't even care enough to make a pick. This fight doesn't even exist on the card. This is the bathroom break fight. Um, for the sake of making a pick, I'm gonna go with the opposite or whoever you said. I think if you're going with Ramela Barra, whatever fucking name is, I'll go with Nico Montano. This fight is terrible. Um, I hate when they do that with these women's fights and they just place them right there, smack dab in the middle. I hate that. This should like be one of the first fights on the card. Just get it out the way. But don't play this fight on DraftKings. Don't do it. If this fight beats me somehow, miraculous grapple fest or knockout, then I'll happily take that L. But don't care about the fight. So that's it.
All right, let's go on to our next fight.
Sorry if I screwed. Sorry if I screwed our loyal listeners who
Nah,
wanted to hear a breakdown of that exciting fight.
I don't like that fight at all. Let's go on to our next fight. I love this fight. Michelle Pereira versus Diego Sanchez. I think the winner of this ends up on the winning lineup for sure. Pereira, he is going to have to knock Sanchez out to win this fight. And if he doesn't, then Sanchez he's way better than Tristan Colony. He's a better athlete. He's a better grappler. He will beat up and grapple Pereira to a decision win or possibly a finish. That's the way it goes. But somebody's probably going to score about 100 points or more. I love this fight. Get it in your lineups. I think it's a must play. That, Dvalishvili versus Kenny, these fights are going to crack off for sure. Travaz Clark, what do you think of this fight?
Oh, you know this fight gonna be on the optimal lineup. You just know it. It has two outcomes. Two outcomes. Pereira knockout. Diego Sanchez wrestling based decision. Two outcomes. I'm gonna take Michelle Pereira. I don't think that Diego Sanchez can handle it anymore. Tristan Connolly was very, very tough, very, very durable. We knew that about him coming in. We said that if he can survive that first round onslaught, that it would become easier for him to get the takedown and work his game. That's exactly how it played out. Diego Sanchez, no. He not taking no knees to the face. He's not taking none of that. Diego Sanchez can't do it. Michelle Pereira seems to be in actual better shape this time around. I know for that Connolly fight, he had to lose like 40 something pounds. 40 pounds before that fight happened. This time he's gradually cutting it down, and I think he's about, let's say, he's at a decent weight right now to where come fight time there won't be any implications, there won't be any prolonged wait to weigh in or anything like that. It seemed like he's perfectly on weight, and I think maybe his coaches they realize that his conditioning, when you're hitting backflips and shit and cartwheels in the middle of the ring, if you're going to continue doing that, your conditioning has to be up to par. And I think it is. And like I said, Diego Sanchez, you got to love that guy, especially the energy he brings, the stuff he talks about. It's all very different. At the same time, though, we gotta call it like we see it with these facts. When he loses, he's losing. Like Ian Quinta knocked him out. He's been knocked out a few times uh, recently, and I think this Michel Perez is a dangerous opponent. Now, I hope people look at it and say, or they remember his last fight where he was just pretty much a one round machine and was like, he faltered after that. Or they look at the box score and see that he lost his last fight, but he's an $8,500 player. He has the biggest inside the distance line. He's only 8,500. Like that's value to me. I just don't think Diego Sanchez can handle it. If he does, more power to him. I know usually you try to play a fight like this on both sides, but I'm taking a stance. Sometimes you have to take a stance as well, just to not, to not automatically have a dead lineup, or you're gonna have a dead lineup. But I'm saying if you have no dead lineups after this fight because you took a stance on one person, whether it's Sanchez or Pereira, then you're still looking peachy so far into the card. But
You can't take a stance on this fight. That's crazy. Don't do
I'm
that.
taking a stance and I'm choosing Michelle Pereira.
Why would
And
you
I
do
don't.
something like that? Because
Diego Sanchez, he's gonna have to show me that he can handle what's gonna come to him in this first round. He's not gonna be able to handle it. He's
okay,
gonna have to show me
when
that.
is taking a stance ever won you a GPP?
What do you mean? That's called having that's called having a core. When you have a core,
Okay,
you don't get away from that core.
has it ever helped you take down a GPP taking a stance on anybody?
Before, before, before.
Which one did you take down?
It was back when Brock Lesnar was in the UFC. I don't remember the fight though.
Jesus Christ, that's a long time ago. Don't do that shit, man. Play both sides of it. It's going what one of these two is going to score a mess of points. So don't take stances on fights like this. There's no reason to. No reason to. Especially if you like Pereira, you could just slot Sanchez in and beat Peachy King. That's what I say. You know, if you like the favorite, hedge with the underdog in a fight like this. Let's go to our last fight. Corey Anderson versus Jan Blachowicz. Corey Anderson $8,900. Blachowicz at $7,300, and Corey Anderson should get the big victory here. He did it before. He's better now. He's more vicious, more ferocious. If he does it, Jan Blachowicz will knock him out. But if Jan Blachowicz can't find a knockout, Corey Anderson will dominate. I'm only on one side of it with Corey Anderson. I'm taking a stance on him because we've seen this fight before. If we hadn't, though, I would hedge you. But if you want to play both sides of it, go ahead. I like Corey Anderson. He's my preferred play. Travaz Clark, what do you say?
Well, we like you said, we've seen this fight before. Many people will say Jan Blachowicz has gotten way better. And while I agree with you, at the same time, this is Corey Anderson. We're kind of far removed from Jan Blachowicz losing to Patrick Cummings being via wrestling. But Jan Blachowicz, to me, his rise has been great. I've loved seeing it. As far as the power, we've always called Jan Blachowicz pillow fist, and he's knocked out Luke Rockhold. And we know Luke Rockhold, you can blow on his chin, and he will fall down. So you got Corey Anderson, whose only flaw in the past has been his chin. And I think honestly that issue is fixed. I think with that exception of that Oven St. Preux head kick, which was vicious, by the way. I think that would have finished anybody because it just smack dab came out of nowhere. Of course, Corey Anderson was winning that fight up until that point. But I think outside of that, Corey Anderson's chin problem is now an overrated topic. I think he's gotten rid of that issue, a la like Cesar Ferreira did. He's protecting his chin better. He can take some hits on it now. He always averages a great strike per minute clip, and we know his wrestling is relentless. He will not. Corey Anderson does exactly what he needs to do. There is no going away from the game plan. There is no let me test my stand up. The guy's a pure wrestler, Beaston, formerly known as Beaston 25-8. Um, he's going to pressure Jan Blachowicz. Blachowicz still has pillow fists. And if you can't knock out Corey Anderson, which has been his only weakness, I don't think his wrestling is going to improve enough in this camp to get someone like Corey Anderson off of him when Corey Anderson comes to pressure and take him down. I think it's rinse and repeat, pretty much the same as the first fight. I gotta love me some Corey. This is one of them fights you think you want to play the underdog on. I can't even do it. I got to take a stance with Corey Anderson too.
All right, that's gonna do it with Black Market Picks. You can take a stance on Corey Anderson because it's not a particularly even fight in Vegas or
Get the fuck
anywhere,
out of here.
but not on Michelle Pereira. We know he's unpredictable. I would never take a stance on that. That's Travaz Clark. But anyway, here we go. It's a wonderful day for the premium section in Black Market Picks. We'll have expert rankings later in the week. We'll catch you guys later.